Like, you can ride the wave, but you're not gonna be the wave. I am the wave.
Nigga, I don't understand why you hate on me, nigga. We don't understand. Show love, nigga. It don't show nothing. It don't cost nothing to show a nigga love. Are we doing this getting money? Show a nigga some love, nigga. Wabbity dabbity. Niggas out here don't love me, nigga.
What people gotta really understand, nobody gotta support you, first of all. So I used to take that shit personal. I used to be like, damn, nobody's supporting me, nobody's playing my records, nobody's really rocking with me in the city like that. And then I realized it's not personal. You just gotta make somebody, you gotta make them a believer. If they don't believe you tomorrow, cool. Focus on who is rocking with you, and then you circle back and you come get them on the way back.
Man, this your boy Money Man Rado, man. You Hankin with Hankin TV, man. You know what it is, the biggest platform, man. They major.
What up, Wallace Mac? Tell me something slick and make it stick. Man, you already know international best-selling author, the Ghetto Diamond, reality TV star, Queen Score. Asking for a friend, man, stop playing with me. Host of Cigar Chats with Mac. But listen, I'm here to talk about Hankin. I'm gonna be on Hankin TV. I'm gonna be Hankin with Hankin. I'm telling you now, you do not want to miss the game. I'm gonna be dropping on Hankin TV. Cause we can always supply demand, turn over a profit consistently. See y'all soon.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Kendra Rainey King, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. By the way, Pleasant Road. I'm an author of 51 books, and I have written various movies as well. I'm a ghostwriter as well. I've written Knee Deep, which is my first movie, Curved Under the Mistletoe, Thicker the Berry, The Sweeter the Juice, and Distinguished Robbers. Those last two will be coming out very soon. And I'm Hankin with Hankin TV. Have a blessed day.
New year, new money. Big blessings, same haters. It's all mine. Big mouth.
Crap. Hey man, this your boy Kimo Ginobili, Mr. Private Eye, the one-eyed bandit. Goddamn, I can't stand it. The walking gas station, man. And right now we on the highway, man. Y'all know I'm Hankin with Hankin TV, man. Trap. Straight like that.
How you whores doing today? I ain't want none. I just kind of tell you I was back, bitch.
What's up? What's going on? What we doing? Huh? Is we condoning in this? Is this what y'all call gangster? What we doing?
What's the word? What's the word? Y'all already know we about to go to this Diddy bond here, and we taking a field trip today, y'all. I got a few things going on in my background. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the video up of the courthouse, and I'm gonna be back and forth in and out because I got something going on. I just want to provide some content, man, and see if we think Diddy gonna get this bond, man. I thought I had put a poll in the chat, but I don't see it. So I'm gonna have to go over here and check on it. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and put this let me see. I'm gonna go ahead and put this up, and then I'm gonna run. I got something to do right quick. I'm gonna bounce back.
We're going to show you, we're going to create such a package that alleviates any of those concerns. The reason it looks like this, and it's so expansive and includes 24/7 monitoring and all this, is because of what the prosecution said. You can't have a sword and a shield at the same time. You say he's wealthy, you say he has the resources to flee, to do what he wants. Well, we're going to use that to try to negate those concerns. Where do you stand with that?
Yeah, we're gonna follow this bond here. We'll be bouncing back and forth from a couple of news sites.
These types of allegations.
We're gonna bounce back and forth with some news sites of different outcomes.
I think that's a very strong argument for the government.
I got two different,
back and forth.
I got two different channels up.
The judge is listening to our back and forth because this is what just happened. And by the way, I really, from a legal point of view, I really am respecting judges.
We're gonna go back over here. And they start hitting that like button, man. Got to catch the interview I did last night. Part 2, married to FBI informant with police position. Make sure I'm going to check that out.
Based on his wealth, but rather danger, risk of flight, and obstruction. The judge says, is obstruction your main argument? The prosecutor says, danger to others. The judge says, so not from risk of flight? And the prosecutor says, we still rely on that too.
Yeah, we're going to be bouncing back and forth. With the channels, got it going on. We're going to see what's going to happen.
So much of this comes back to that video.
Definitely want to see what they're going to say about this bond hearing. What y'all think? I'm going to go ahead and put the chat. I'm going to go ahead and put a poll in the chat. Hold on.
There's a possibility that could happen to other people as well. It's right here in black and white on video. So I think that's one of the more strong arguments. But I think it's important that the prosecution doesn't forfeit any of the other arguments, including obstruction of justice, so that they can put on a fair trial.
Nima, that risk of flight is interesting because prosecutors say he's facing 15 years to life in prison on these
I'm about to add a chat. I'm a poll to the chat, y'all.
His response would be, first of all, my family, my livelihood is here. I'm not going to flee the country. I've been trying to sell my plane. I gave up my passport. I could have fled multiple times.
Okay, it is. Okay. Well, I don't see it. Let me know if y'all see a poll, man. Let me know if y'all see a poll on.
I don't think it's a very strong argument for the prosecution.
If y'all see a poll out there, let me know.
Credibility is really important, and when the defense writes illegal on a pad after the fact, that's a problem. And if you're the prosecution, you want to save face, and if this is someone who surrendered passports who's been willing to
drop a one in the chat if y'all can see the poll.
I don't think the risk of flight is
I'm gonna go to it on my phone.
Argument compared to the obstruction and the danger argument. So I would focus on those two. And obviously, you don't want to concede anything, but really just focus on, because you only need one to win, right?
About to make it now. I'll see what happened. I did some goofy. Hold on, I'm about to make the poll now.
You don't need all three.
Generally, it's going to be danger or risk of flight, but the obstruction is
y'all
important as well. So
Diddy gonna get a bond
under federal law that detention is appropriate.
I think they about really tired of this.
Combination of conditions.
Then after this, if he don't get it, y'all know it's pretty much trouble. He's gonna be in there. So I think they say March or May of 2025 is when the trial process starts.
Elizabeth, we have another update from court talking about obstruction. The judge says, tell me about obstruction. Is he listening to Law and Crime?
That definitely ain't going to be enough time.
Do you have a microphone here or something? Tell me about obstruction. So he asks, he says, tell me about obstruction, prosecutor. Prosecutor Slavic says, he's continuing violation of the rules, meaning as we talked about what's happening or allegedly happening in jail. The judge says, if is running a
I'm trying to put a
obstruction, meaning the social media
poll in the chat for y'all, man.
Says that's not what we have here. Rather, it's his concerted effort to impact the integrity of these proceedings. Prosecutor says, he says, I want to reach the jurors. I need only one. So that's so interesting. That's the first time that we actually maybe heard, they said they would have evidence to prove that this social media campaign was about influencing the jury. So he allegedly, there's some communication from Sean Combs where he talks about, I only need one, meaning only against one juror. The judge says he's not permitted to engage in any conduct.
It popped up, man. Make sure y'all vote on that poll.
He's not permitted to engage in any conduct to impact the jury pool. That's what the judge is asking.
This boy Diddy gonna get this bond, man.
It's obstructive conduct.
He has said something. You know, his lawyers are saying that
he's the one who asked for that.
I forgot the guy's name exactly. It's another guy that's charged with some stuff similarly like his. He got a bond. Shit, he 80 years old. They said that's why he got his bond.
So I think that's a bit of a reach.
There it goes.
But I think it's important that the prosecution highlights, again, any sort of evidence where he specifically states, I'm trying to target potential jurors here. He might have said that with social media, a little bit tougher. But I think the stronger points lie in if there's any sort of evidence
definitely about to see what's going to happen.
To potentially contact witnesses through third parties to what prosecution is claiming, alter their testimony, give sort of more favorable testimony. I think that's what's going to be more persuasive.
By the way, that gag order, I thought that was about not releasing grand jury materials.
Start hitting that like button. Hit that like button as y'all come in.
Public. I mean, if you're posting about your birthday, you're posting your music videos, I don't feel that the gag order applies.
I don't think so either. Again, unless they're commenting on something specific regarding the alleged.
Josh, you said he gonna get a bond.
Indictment or anything
Definitely
like
gonna
that.
see.
I think general content posted on social media.
Definitely gonna see.
Even in cases involving more private figures, let alone.
He definitely giving
Nima, do you agree?
a lot of stipulations of what he's willing to do.
I agree. It's not within the limitations.
What you
of
talking
the
about?
order,
On page
and again,
security,
this is just not
24/7,
the
no
argument
phone.
of the prosecution. I agree that him trying to
A lot of
boost
stipulations on
that
himself.
is, but just generally a blanket argument against a PR campaign, social media post, not good. No judge in this country is going to prohibit someone
man.
from
It's a
posting
lot
on
of
social media. Just so that's be honest, this is the biggest trial in the country.
Man, there's a lot of bull crap around in this, man.
Criminal problems have gone away. Nothing even compares
Can't
to
even pay
Sean
attention
Diddy.
to the
People are going to be
fact,
talking about it.
what's
Everyone's
going on,
covering
dude.
it.
All the bull crap going
Social
on.
media. I've done dozens of interviews just on law and crime about it. So for a judge to say that you can't post on social media about your birthday, family, forget about it. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No.
That's that custom Tupac beat back there playing that my guy he made that for me. EQ Misfit made that for me.
This is from the prosecutor.
Yeah, y'all we tuning in to the we gonna go ahead and follow this Diddy bond hearing. Go see Diddy get a bond. Make sure y'all tap in that like button for me.
The judge said, "What about the?"
We're gonna be bouncing back and forth between them, chopping it up about the YSL trial.
$1 million bond, and then the prosecutor says, "We did a letter."
Shannon's lawyer, boy, that boy cooked today. Shannon's lawyer definitely was cooking today.
Basically, the government talked
He
about
had
Mike Jeffries.
I believe I want to say I think she said she was a sergeant of forensics or something, but he had her on there stuttering and everything.
And so,
yeah, Guy's lawyer came right behind him and put pressure on him.
Which I think is going to be really, really important. Again, just for our viewers turning in, Elizabeth, you see that the case of Mike Jeffries,
I got a couple
sex trafficking.
Got a couple of channels we're gonna keep popping between, see what's going on. If this boy gonna get this bond. Make sure y'all tapping that like button for me, man. Tap that like button as y'all coming in. Also, I got some dope topics for later on. It all depends on how long this lasts. I know I kind of been chopping it up and been kind of like lightweight telling some few little prison stories. And I came across a story where a guy locked up for deleting somebody. They got him accused. He's supposed to have, I want to say, impregnated two jail staff. They put charges on the staff. Then there's another one, I forgot where it's at. A female was supposed to got impregnated by another inmate. He was sliding the semen through the vent. It's wild, man. If this get to last too long, what we're gonna do, we'll take a break. And I'll go ahead and pull that up. We'll go over that. I think the little news for that, I think it's only like about 3 or 4 minutes. Turn the volume up.
He's focused, he's ready for his hearing. We think the law and the facts are on our side.
And he's ready, I know he is. I know he's ready, yeah. We only got, so far, we only got one person saying they think he gonna get a bond. gonna pop back over to the other one where they're really talking about it at.
Here we
go.
So I think he's just trying to get information here. I think it's hard to negate the facts of that video.
So, Nima, I'll give you a chance to respond, but here's another update. The cell phone
y'all tapping that like button for me.
The cell phone footage was grand jury material, and we didn't want the defendant to be able to retaliate against the grand jury witness. We did add blurring of the victim's face. In 2016, the defendant bribed hotel security $100,000 to make it go away. Your thoughts on what we're hearing about this?
Yeah, I'm shaking my head.
But they bribed him to make it go away. How did it pop back up?
Why this is important. First of all, we know that Sean Combs did 50 or 100,000. I've heard both numbers.
Wow.
Apparently $100,000 to try
That was video.
Now, in November, Cassie files her lawsuit. Combs, through his attorney, says that this is all these are lies. This is all fabrication. This is a money grab. His homes are raided in March. Again, still denies everything. Only after CNN gets his video in May does Combs finally admit to lying for 6 months through his attorney. So he can't be trusted.
We kind of behind. My fault.
No evidence. Well, other than some of the assertions that they're putting forward in these letters about, using his family to.
Did he go get a bond?
Conduct or contact outside of jail, or some of the allegations that we're seeing in the lawsuits. Nothing to suggest that his sons committed any of these crimes.
They got so much stuff to add to this.
I want to go to you, Elizabeth. We have a question from Susie Payne.
It don't make no sense.
Will Diddy take the stand, and when will we see the court case? Well, presumably we would see it May 2025. I'm not going to actually see
May, okay, in May. I said March or May. Okay, it's going to be in May.
Will Diddy take the stand?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Johnny D, what's the word, man? Over here just,
think that his
don't follow this Diddy bond here and see what happens.
Be subject to cross-examination, and I think these prosecutors will go extremely
We'll see if they're
hard,
free to diddler.
give him all sorts of evidence, including the video and all sorts of probing questions.
I think it's really like
criminal cases is not a civil lawsuit.
or with the people, man, I really think it's like 50-50.
1999 nightclub shooting case worked from there.
Might be a little more, maybe
Okay, so we have
the
updates
people
from
want him out.
The judge
The
asked,
people don't want him out, but it's definitely gonna be some controversy for.
Mr. Agnifilo responds.
Also, man, what do y'all think about Donald Trump saying that he's gonna bring in the military to help with the deportation of immigrants?
Shapiro says, I don't mean
That's gonna be wild, man. That's gonna be like something off a movie.
Shapiro says he has apologized. Your thoughts about what the judge is getting to here?
Yeah, I mean, one of the
It's
things
gonna be
that,
wild.
Diddy had
You
said
imagine
was
seeing the
no
military, man,
lawsuit. Immediately, obviously, he denied it and said this was an
pulling up in different cities and loading people up, man.
Once the video surfaced, he was sort of backed into
Taking them and putting them on boats or plane. Remember how we was hearing the horrifying stories what was going in Guatemala?
This is someone who will deny.
Just imagine how this is gonna be. Probably what they gonna do. They're probably gonna take them somewhere, like process them, so they know that they got deported.
Personally, I believe because they had no other choice.
It's gonna be a hell of a. That's gonna be a hell of an experience. Motherfuckers gotta get deported.
Cameras for the trial. Nope, and nope.
I don't think they going. They ain't gonna go quiet.
Federal courthouses, let alone in New York.
Just look how much stuff we got going on, man. We got that about to happen. We get inaugurated. We got the city stuff going on. We got the little dirt stuff going on. We got the end of the YSL trial.
In that courtroom, she will come out to us later and explain what she saw.
We're still waiting on the see what's up with the Mo 3 trial.
What about the 2018 text messages with victim 1 about violence?
A lot of stuff going on.
Victim 1 is possibly Cassandra Ventura.
Man.
Combs lawyer Mark Agnifilo responds.
God, you think it's a good idea? I mean, we're gonna have to think about what the backlash that's gonna be, man. It's gonna be a hell of backlash.
It was consensual.
People ain't going.
So going back to what I mentioned,
We're gonna be fighting tooth and nail to stay.
What's today? 22nd. They filed.
And don't forget, he's talking about giving the police immunity.
This 20-minute video
crimes. You know what I'm saying?
So
When they deleting people, it's about giving them immunity. It's definitely gonna be something to sit back and just see what happens.
That could not be used by the prosecution as evidence that he is a danger to the public.
I think it's gonna be like a little low-key war, man. Them people ain't trying to go nowhere. why they come here.
Defense lawyers do. They have to have
although a lot of them ain't supposed to be here, they gonna be.
When it came to violence against a woman, so they put a female.
They'll be dragging them out.
Do that. So that's
loading them up.
These types of cases. That's why Shapiro started speaking. But we're talking about text messages from Cassie to Diddy.
I'm kind of. This one of the things I'm thinking. I'm wondering if they're gonna change. Donald Trump being a convicted felon, and they postponed his sentencing.
There's text messages that
for
her account. So what happened? She
postponed his sentencing for the bribery.
I'm someone's daughter. You
I wonder if they're gonna change the stipulations as far as other people getting hired on jobs, man.
That was provided by the prosecution.
With background.
Examples of what was happening.
Here it is. Look, our president-elect is a damn convicted felon.
Exposed videos.
As long as you govern your household accordingly and obey the laws of the land, you'll be fine.
I've got a question from Ashley.
Most definitely, that's the main thing. You know, man, your business.
Crime Channel be covering the case when and if it
I'm
happens
cool.
next year.
I'm just thinking about how gruesome it's gonna be for them.
No cameras in that courtroom.
Now, don't forget, you know, some people, somebody gonna catch some strays.
Is there a possibility that
there'll be some people that catch some strays? Like I say, man, they're gonna be fighting with the nail not to go.
You know, in briefs and today, I mean, it seems probably more likely than not we are going to get a decision on Diddy's business.
They're going to be fighting tooth and nail, man.
I believe the two prior judges were able to make their decisions pretty quickly, and again,
I pretty much think that's everybody going to be doing, man, their business. They better.
Prosecution and defense are going to want to push for a decision quickly for their own reasons. So I'd be very surprised if there wasn't a decision, and federal judges are prone to act faster than state judges.
Nima, I'm going to you. Judge, update from court. Judge Subramanian asks, I don't want to quote from them, but you know the ones I mean. Again, it seems to be this information under seal. And Mark Agnifilo says, we are proposing an independent security firm. There has been mutually regrettable physical conduct going both ways. There was...
Hold on, we got an update. I had to cut it up so we can hear it.
Or violence, when we saw just brutality there, right? Her being dragged by her feet, her being kicked, the vase being thrown at her. Terrible, terrible stuff being said by the defense. But again, their job is to represent their clients, so that's what they're going to do. But to attack Cassie Ventura and say that she was the violent one or the instigator, pretty shameful in my opinion.
It's always a tricky kind of avenue, especially if you cross-examine Cassandra Ventura, how you paint your victim, or alleged victim. It's tough in these sexual assault cases, but unfortunately, you have his life on the line. This is what you might have to do. Whether or not it would turn off a jury or judge, we'll have to see. Comment from Angela Maria. Jesse is devastated about no cameras. You're right. I am devastated, and I have no shame in saying that whatsoever. Talk to me about, it's funny. Elizabeth, talk to me about the idea here. What would happen if they let him out on bail and get pre-trial release, and then he ends up doing, you know, what the prosecution says he does? He reaches out to witnesses again. He reaches out to victims.
That's the main thing. The main thing they worried about.
Does that put the judge in kind of a bad
main
position?
thing they worried about?
I would imagine it would. Again, the judge is guided by two prior judges saying this is too much of a risk. We can't let this person out on bail. And if the judge takes a chance and says, let's try home confinement, and then that happens, I think that would be devastating. And that would also really affect the potential outcome of the trial. You know, again, a big part of the indictment focused on the element of control and power that
they worried about, man, him messing
Diddy is able to exert that same level of control and power over witnesses to try to block potential testimony. That could be devastating for the case.
And by the way, tell me if I'm totally crazy here, Nima, but you know, his team was pushing for a trial to happen as soon as possible, presumably because he doesn't want to be, you know, in jail.
They're claiming that's what he tried. You know, they claiming that's what he's doing from in there. I ain't been abusing his phone trip. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
If he's
phone calls and
bail
stuff
today, are we going to see a motion
that's what's really hurting me.
Monday? Let's postpone the trial. Hey, I'd like to be on home confinement for as long as possible before going to trial. Am I crazy to think that, Nima?
You're not crazy at all, Justin. I think the
you know, if you get out on bond, you know they're gonna push that trial as long as they can for him to stay out.
And frankly, one of the reasons that people on the defense bar, they don't like their clients being in custody. It's not just preparing for trial, but oftentimes defendants will want to plead just to get the whole thing over with. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen in this case because there's so much time, but you're absolutely right.
They really letting us know, man, it ain't about money.
Being kicked out a year or even longer if Diddy is surprisingly released.
And we have another update from court where it seems, I would say, Elizabeth,
we ain't gonna say that right now. We're gonna wait and see what happened on this.
But they're saying you have to read what these communications are because they just said
the things they got him accused of now prior to other bond hearings. We gonna see.
The defendant told someone to lie by phone from the MCC. This was a federal prison. This is actually where But it says in the Gotti case from 1996, the head of the Gambino crime family, the witness received
I don't think you get the bond either, man.
The government does not have that here. So they're trying to distinguish maybe what Sean Combs said.
Follow it. I don't think
I
you're
mean,
gonna get a bond
that's
either.
what the defense is going to try to push. They're going to say, you know, he's entitled to work on his defense while he's in prison. There was no sort of attempt to
definitely gonna cause an uproar with
people. Obviously, that's what they're going to claim. I think it all depends on what's in those notes, which we're not going to know about for weeks on end, and what evidence the prosecution
Diddy, man,
has in terms of
everything
what
he
did he say. You know, they're saying that they have
the hip hop community.
calls of him.
Well, we also have been hearing this stuff. We have been hearing this stuff for years, man.
You know, I think it's a tough.
Have all that money, man, and get locked up and can't get out.
From you before I have to sign both of you off. We have two new guests.
That's probably part of the problem. He's thinking he untouchable.
This is a question from IVD on YouTube. What is the prosecution's counter argument against it being consensual behavior?
You know they ain't allowing no media in the courtroom,
right?
so
They
they
gotta show
doing
that force, fraud,
giving
or coercion.
update.
That's what separates consensual sexual.
Hey, Goon, man, hit me up, man.
Freaky as the
You got time,
as long as it's consensual. So they need
call
to
me right now. I'm gonna go on mute, but I need to holler at you. I've been hitting your DMs.
Yeah, right. Diddy
definitely need to holler at you, man.
Allegedly for his own sexual gratification, but also to maintain control over the victims. But I really think the game.
Not now, man. Just make sure you hit me sometime today.
There's a superseding indictment alleging the sex trafficking of minors that takes consent.
Gotta put it down, man.
That changes the whole game.
Too much,
all right,
too much
so
going on out here.
We're going to continue covering these
got
updates.
Content, man. We got content for days.
Sean Combs' bail day. We'll see if Judge Subramanian is more receptive to these arguments. Will he grant Sean Combs' bail? We'll wait and see. But Elizabeth Vula,
I'm gonna send you my number. Just hit me when you get off.
Really appreciate it. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back after this, and we're going to bring on Bradford Cohen and Brian McMonagle, celebrity attorneys to the celebrities. We'll be back in a second.
I think they definitely making a spectacle out of it. Because man, how many have you heard of a person having 4 bond hearings? Wouldn't have changed so much from the first time. If anything didn't change, I think he just kind of got himself into more shit. The stuff they're accusing him of doing in there now. That's what they're doing. They're definitely making a spectacle of it. And there ain't no way in the world any juror gonna be able to go into this trial and not be biased. They already gonna be tainted by the media, man. Hey, good looking. But you know they have put in the motion for him not to go into court today with shackles on. You know, so when taint the jurors. It's already tainted. I don't care what rock you hiding under, where you at. You done heard something about this case. So I think it's gonna be impossible to get some jurors that ain't gonna be biased towards the situation. I'm gonna bounce over to a different channel here in a minute. They're giving us updates. It ain't no cover. It ain't no media in the courtroom, so they're bouncing back and forth, giving us updates of what's going on. Pop somewhere else that's going on. I'm gonna go over to another channel.
is a serious proceeding with serious
About to say, he just said they want to put an end to all the clowning on the internet.
Nobody's okay with staying in jail for now. Okay, thank you very much. That's it for today.
Well, I say it's gonna be impossible to have somebody who got wind of this case. Don't forget, we got media channels chopping it up all day about it. The public is definitely hearing about it, man. After this, we're gonna go ahead and get into this guy. I'm about to tell y'all his name. He is accused of impregnating two female jail employees, but they charged the female jail employees. It's the #1 blood in NC. Prosecutors say allegedly impregnated 2 Durham jail workers and charged the jail workers by him being a property of the state. They say he didn't have the power. They say he didn't have the power to consent because he's property of the state. So there we go. Got Mama Diddy pulling up. I think this one behind because she had been. I had seen one where she had been pulled up. They already in court now. They probably just getting us that back coverage, waiting on the update to come from the courtroom. It's gonna be a minute. They ain't about to just go in there and just make I don't think no quick decision on it. Let's leave them lawyers in their fight. And you know, they prosecution, they fighting. This is hard to stop. This is hard to stop. Promo, man. If y'all trying to get some promo, intros, thumbnails, flyers, editing, hit me up. Hit me up, man. Super fast turnaround rate. I'm knocking them out. I done got so cold with it. I'm editing videos. I could be sitting in Atlanta at Walmart and damn near edit a whole intro. Just make sure if you got something specific you wanted, just make sure you gotta have your elements ready, man. Your elements meaning your pictures, your music. I would prefer for you to have your own music. For the intro, that's where we don't run into no copyright issues. Just have your, you know what I'm saying, your elements together. Clear, clean ideas. The best thing I think to do is just tell me like, man, give me a couple elements and just tell me to do my thing and let me, you know what I'm saying? If you want to customize, I'm definitely gonna customize it. Well, it's gonna be customized anyway. I've been seeing them. I've been playing the ones I've been making. I just did one for a guy last night. I ain't played that one. Also, if you follow me on IG, I just put up a price list. However, I got my prices on there, but however I am budget friendly. I ain't gonna just let you lowball me, but I am budget friendly. If you can't you ain't got what's on the price list, we definitely can work something out. And it's still gonna be the same quality as if it was. As if it was the original price. I'm budget friendly.
We think the law and the facts are on our side.
We're gonna buy back. And see, that's one of the things that made me learn how to do this shit myself, man, because I was running across so many people. I was trying to, you can't put a price on nobody else's work, but hearing my mouth out. You know what I'm saying? Same thing, as far as me knowing how to do it myself, there was room, you know what I'm saying, when you could have worked for the person. It's just like the game. You gotta give some deals sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I definitely will work with your budget.
Sean Combs' attorney, Alexandra Shapiro, is having a back and forth with Judge Subramanian. I'm going to read everybody the back and forth.
Update,
so first, defense attorney Shapiro says, we cited the Trump case. Defendants have greater rights to speak than their lawyers. An Instagram post, as well as I don't know if I can, and then the judge says his communications from the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center. Shapiro says he says the prosecution is motivated by racism. So let me just be clear about this. There's a conversation, there's a discussion about what was he saying, maybe on telephone calls to other people while he's been locked up at the MDC. The other question is, was he orchestrating a social media campaign using his family to post things online that might potentially influence a jury? So keeping that in mind, Ms. Shapiro, again, Sean Combs' lawyer, says, this is covered by the First Amendment. Messages they point to are not instructions to lie. There is a barrage of negative media coverage. He has a right to respond to that. The judge asks, why not through counsel? Shapiro says, we're happy to do that. Shapiro says, but we're lawyers. It's not really what we do. Some of these recordings shows that he's telling people, just tell the truth, talk with my lawyer.
Update.
And then the judge says, victim 3, you're saying the communications are fine? And Shapiro says, yes, same on witness 1 and witness 2. The judge says, what about the communications that are missing? Agnifilo, this is Mark Agnifilo, this is Sean Combs' other lawyer, says, witness 1 reached out to Mr. Combs' counsel and asked us for a lawyer. We didn't do anything along those lines because it was an odd request. I don't know the factual answer. The judge responded, how do you not know? How do you know? Or how do you not know, maybe? Oh, it's how did you not know? That's exactly. How did you not know? And Sean Combs' other lawyer, Tenny Garrigo, says, there was a message from Mr. Combs to witness 1. I'll like to give it to you under seal. Prosecutor Foster may know it does not give rise to the level of obstruction. I do not have the actual message. Brian, I'll start with you. A lot of back and forth here. It's about whether or not his communications are a form of obstruction. It's about whether or not him even initiating a social media campaign would be to improperly influence a jury. This all goes to the issue, is he a danger on the outside? Is he flouting the rules inside? He cannot be released outside. What are you taking away from this back and forth I went through?
Well, the fact that they're debating it is healthy for him. It sounds like our judge here is trying to give a real fair analysis to all this. And this is a collision between First Amendment rights, as far as I'm concerned, and some of the requirements under bail, if there should be bail given. You're not supposed to have contact with witnesses. You're certainly not supposed to intimidate witnesses, but you're also able to defend yourself and marshal a defense and speak your mind as a defendant. And judges always have a very difficult time trying to balance those two constitutional issues. And I think this judge is struggling with it because this is a man who's on trial for his life. His liberty's been taken away from him, and he's fighting back. And that would be something that one would expect of someone who's been accused of heinous crime. So I think that today is probably, as I think,
they get that boy out.
Really the first opportunity for there to be a healthy debate and why he should be released.
And Bradford, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to that as well. I do want to let you know there was another update where Ms. Garagos, who again is one of Sean Combs' attorneys, says, my client obeys me. For example, on victim 3, he stopped using ASAP and other phone lines. The messages with witness 1 were pre-arrest. He obeys us. He came to New York. In the Bureau of Prisons, when I tell him not to do something, he doesn't. So in other words, if you have concerns about him flouting the rules, he will listen to us. We'll tell him what to do. What do you think?
I think that's an argument that I've often made, and I think a lot of defense attorneys make, in terms of that our clients will listen to us if we tell them what to do and what not to do. And in certain circumstances, you have clients that have not been in a situation like this before, where they're in custody, where they are getting a barrage of allegations against them. Some may have some basis of truth, and some may not. And you've seen that over and over again in this case. there have been reports of different things that went on and different allegations against Sean Combs that they have then found out these are just rumors.
And he gonna get a bond is the question.
I think that it's not a bad thing when a PR company or even when a defendant takes it on himself to have family members talk about the good things that he's done in the past and the charitable things that they've done in the past. When you have a case like this where they are just every day there's something that is coming out, something that is leaked by either government or a party that's involved or someone that's interested in the case, where it is affecting, that could have affected a jury. I think that, you know, that release of that Cassie tape, and I keep going back to that release of that Cassie tape, I think the tape was released because they knew that she was going to be somewhat blamed for the behavior that happened, that they would know that she would participate in these different things with different individuals, and they wanted to make sure that was cut off at the pass. And
I hit that like button for me. Appreciate it.
Not a co-defendant.
I ain't subscribed to the channel.
Was eventually leaked by whatever party that leaked that tape. A lot of not going back to that. No one's really discussed how that tape has come out, and I think it's an interesting thing. And especially when you have a judge that's interested in your story, and you have a prosecution that is interested in why he is making these, these PR moves on social media. I think it all comes back to that tape, and I think that's their strongest, quote-unquote, strongest piece of evidence in terms of their star witness to say, hey, this guy's a bad guy. I do like the fact, and I will agree with Ryan, that the fact that they're having a conversation that the judge is engaging them is always a good sign. Is it,
what we gonna do, y'all? We're gonna take a break. We're gonna take a pause from this. I'm about to go ahead. We're gonna go over here. Cover this guy in North Carolina that's locked up for he locked up for deleting somebody. I think a couple people. They got him accused of hold on. They got him accused of getting 2 female staff impregnated. And they charged the staff with it. Hold on, I'm about to pull it up. Here we go. Wow, did you hear me?
Well, a Durham man is the #1 blood gang member in North Carolina, prosecutors said today. WREL was the only media in court today for Darius Tyson's bond hearing.
He is accused of getting several jail workers pregnant and coordinating drug deals with an illegal cell phone right from his jail cell. WREL Investigates Sarah Kruger spoke exclusively with his mother and explains why she and his attorney claim Tyson is actually the victim in this case.
Darius Tyson had been in the Durham jail. Now he's in Central Prison after the allegations of having sex with workers here. Today in court, he was trying to get his $1.25 million bond reduced. The judge said no.
3 women face charges related to actions that investigators say involve inmate Darius Tyson. A detention officer and a nurse working at the jail are charged with having sexual relations with him. Another detention officer is charged with bringing him a phone. In court, Tyson's attorney, Daniel Meyer, tried to argue for a bond reduction, claiming his client is a victim.
He was sexually assaulted. A detainee by law cannot consent. He is a victim in those cases.
Prosecutor Mary Judero claims Tyson admitted to being the highest-ranking blood gang member in the state. She says he used his influence, even from jail, to coordinate drug deals from the phone that was illegally brought to him.
My understanding in speaking with one of the rank over at the jail that there were on the phone, they were able to verify him setting up drug transactions, money drops.
She even says the two women he's alleged to have had sex with in jail got pregnant. WRAL Investigates found the nurse, Laren Burnett, had been reprimanded by the nursing board in Georgia. Records show she falsified the number of hours she worked and seemingly showed no remorse, telling the board she would do it again. Still, the North Carolina Board of Nursing issued her a probationary license earlier this year.
What is the Darius Tyson that you know as his mom?
Only on WRAL, Tyson's mom, Mariette Tyson, wanted to share her family's perspective. She asked us not to show her face for safety reasons.
He's an
Mom
artist,
got the
meaning
horses on.
he's a rapper. He's a nice guy, nice looking, very charming, you know, and
When the mama's gonna bring you the smoke, you hear me?
Darius Tyson was previously convicted in a 2010 murder. The court overturned that, though, in 2020, ordering a new trial that still hasn't happened. Now he's in custody for a different murder, accused of killing Sean Burton in 2022.
Durham County, they have it out for him. And I can say that with all my heart.
She did not want to speak about the accusations against her son.
What do you think he wants to tell everyone?
He's innocent. He's innocent.
Of all the charges?
Of all the charges.
She also says her son was assaulted by jail staff here, leaving him with some pretty significant injuries to his jaw. A spokesperson for the sheriff's office says they have no record of that happening. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News, Durham.
I remember one time I was doing a bit. I was doing 2 years. And I was assaulted by some officers. So what it was a solitary confinement, right? It was like 2 parts of it. I'm trying to describe it for you. It was like 2 parts of it. It was like, we're gonna say a north wing and the south wing was shaped like a V. So the south wing was under construction. They had us stand on the north side, the north wing of it. So I remember one night we chilling in the cell. We had a bunkie in there. So me and a bunkie, we in the cell. I think he doing. So we had a certain time at night. We had to cut the light off. The light switch was in our cell. We had to cut the light off. So when it come time to cut the light off, they come around and be like, lights out. So I cut the light off. So he like, shit, he got up, he cut the light back on. So the police, so the COs, they come back around, they're like, cut the light off. I'm like, shit, man, I cut the light off. So him and dude, they got to arguing. So they telling me like, so what it was a steel door. With a window, like a little slim window on it, y'all done seen them. And then they got a flap that open, that's what they put your food tray through. So they telling me like, put your hands through the flap and cuff up. I'm like, man, no. Y'all come in here and whoop us? Like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. They're like, put your hands through the flap and cuff up. I'm like, hell no. Cause they do, they cuff you up and they come in there and they put them paws on you. They end up coming in there. And remember, the main beef was with him now, cause the officer came and seen him cut the light back on. They come in there, extract us. They roughed me up real good, cuffed me up, drug me down the steps, and then took me and put me on the side that was under construction. I mean, it was clearly under construction. It's dirty, shit everywhere. It left me over there. So when the shift changed, the guard to come in to do the count messed up because he don't know. They done left me on the other side. So I don't know how he found me. So somehow he get over there. So somehow he come over there and he find me. They asked me what happened. I tell them what's happened. So the officers really had got in trouble for messing up the count. So I didn't press it. I didn't really, think nothing of it. I didn't really know nothing about it until once they came and got me. So they came. I forgot how long I was supposed to be in there. They came and they let me out one day. I'm like, damn. When they let me out later on that day, they called me to like the unit manager. They called me like to the unit manager's office. He telling me like he kind of was like catering to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, we're gonna keep this, we ain't gonna let nobody know what happened, blah 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 blah. And then when I really found out that it was something serious because another guy had went through something like that. He put a lawsuit in and got paid and everything. Yeah, they definitely been there putting a pause on you. Putting a pause on you. We're gonna bounce back. We're gonna bounce back over to this Diddy trial for a minute, man. I might come back a little later and we touch on it. I knew it was gonna be it wasn't gonna be nothing quick. It started at 1:30.
Wrong about that. And they're putting restraints in place that make the previous bail package pale in comparison. So they're right to make this argument. It's precedent. It's precedent within that jurisdiction. And I think the judge is going to look hard at it. You know, you've now got two rulings that have gone against him. So he's got to look at those rulings and those judges. But he's also got a situation where the government has agreed to bail in a situation if it's not as bad, it's pretty darn close by accusation.
Mm-hmm. And look, I think they, look, it's also a different court. This is a different. This is the Southern District of New York. That was the Eastern District of New York. But even you put that difference aside, this seems to be one of the more compelling arguments put forward by the defense. Bradford, we're also taking questions, by the way. So anybody who has questions about this case, submit them on YouTube. If you have questions about the hearing, submit them. We have this interesting question from Sahara Useri on YouTube. Why did Combs get a new judge to begin with? It's interesting, right? Because I believe we had a district court judge or a magistrate judge.
Yeah, I didn't even know he had got a new judge too.
Now Judge Arun
already going through judges.
Why do you see a reassignment of a case like this? Why is it now in the hands of Judge Arun Subramanian? Why do you see this happen, Bradford?
Well, on federal cases, we always appear to begin with in front of a magistrate. That's usually the first person who hears the case, if it's a bond issue, and or if it's even a preliminary issue. A lot of times, court judges will give magistrates the power to rule over different kind of motions to suppress and motions to dismiss. But we always go in front of a magistrate that's associated with the judge,
right here.
and then generally you then go to the judge that's going to have your case. It just depends. Sometimes you go to a temporary judge until it gets assigned. A lot of times judges don't have time for the type of case that it is, or they might not have the schedule that will behoove a trial.
I think that hurt a case bouncing around from judge to judge.
Being set for April.
Once it go to a new judge,
that was assigned,
they don't know what's going on. Got to get caught up.
Set for April. That's not uncommon. I don't see that as like unusual. We've seen that in many cases. I've had many cases where judges have changed at the beginning of the case. It's usually unlikely that at the end of the case that you have a judge that'll change once they've heard motions and once you've done discovery and things of that nature. But I don't find anything of that unusual. Magistrates are always common. You always go in front of a magistrate first, and those are usually randomly assigned, and then a judge is randomly assigned, and then another judge can take over at any time. It's not that big of a deal.
And by the way, I wish we had cameras in the courtroom, but based purely on the arguments that we're seeing and have seen with Judge Subramanian, I feel confident to say this feels like a very fair, well-reasoned judge. The way he was pressing
definitely need them cameras in the courtroom.
Pressing the defense, it's really something to take note of, and that's kind of the judge. That's exactly the kind of judge you want in these cases. There's a question that we have from Samian on YouTube. I'm curious, Jesse, why did the prosecutor not reference the R. Kelly trial? They might not have referenced it today, but it was in their filings. I think it was even in the very first bail filing. They referenced the R. Kelly case. They referenced the Jeffrey Epstein cases as why it would justify bail for Sean Combs. Here's another question. I'll throw this over to you, Brian, from Europees Hunar.
Did he get a bomb?
Did
he get a bomb? Drop down in the chat. Let me look up there. Did he get a bomb, man?
It'll happen pretty quickly. He'll have to go back. Usually you have to go back to the detention center that you're being housed in. There's some paperwork that has to be done, but I would think it would happen pretty quickly. It would be tonight, unless there's some other snafu that occurs in trying to get it done. But for a high-profile case like this, they'll move quickly on it. All the eyes of the world are watching it. I think it'll happen pretty quickly. It'll certainly happen, I think, sometime tonight, if he rules tonight. I mean, that's, some judges recognizing that there could be an appeal of this ruling will take the time to issue a written opinion. And that would be the only reason I would think this judge would hesitate before ruling in this case. He seems, as you've described it to be a really fair-minded and thoughtful guy.
Is he gonna rule today?
And some of those judges that are more thoughtful and more fair-minded issue written opinions, which he may do in this case.
We have another update from court. Ms. Shapiro, again, defense counsel for Sean Combs. While in Jeffrey's case, one defendant is 80 and the other is 71, Mr. Combs is 55. I hate to say it, it's not that young, because that was one of the things the prosecution
Don't make no
said.
difference,
Like,
though.
You're dealing with an 80-year-old. Yeah, you're dealing with an 80-year-old.
You're
dealing with an
he should be able to get it.
He's 55. You know, he's much younger. He's more of a danger. The judge says the U.S. suggests he won't follow conditions. Shapiro says these conditions are more restrictive than in the prison. Again, I kind of laid out what some of the conditions are. Bradford, your thoughts?
I think the argument that
I'm gonna
one
go
guy's
against the
80
grain,
and
man.
one
I
guy's
think he gonna get it.
55 is, if I was the judge, I think that would fall on deaf ears. The 80-year-old might be more willing to do something crazy because he's 80. You know, it's like he only has so much time left. Any time you give an 80-year-old is going to be a life sentence. So if the guy gets 5 years and he's 85 years old, that's not that young. So the argument itself is not great about the age. I think the stronger argument is maybe that in the RICO charges, they're charging.
We don't make it our way through till get a decision.
That's probably a stronger argument.
Might come back tonight. We chopping up about to make the decision or not.
A history of alleged violence or participation.
I'm gonna go ahead and go against the grain. Like I think he's gonna get it.
Allegations of the sex trafficking are very, very, in my opinion, are worse for the CEO of.
I think they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna get
and
it.
it's just, you know, it's funny that it just by happenstance these cases happen together. If it didn't happen together, you'd have nothing to compare it to. You'd have to go back to a different.
I think they're gonna do it because they feel like they're gonna go ahead and let him hang himself.
So it just so
asking
happened that this worked out.
Go ahead and let him hang himself.
Where the Eastern District comes to an agreement on the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, and it works in his favor. I think that you have to lean very heavily on. This guy could make a run for it at any time, right? It's not just that he's a danger; it's also that he's a flight risk. They would argue.
You over here following the Diddy bond here.
If
they gonna give Diddy a bond.
Mexico, he could have gone anywhere, and he never did.
Everybody who came through so far said, no, I think they're gonna give it to him.
They didn't even allow him to surrender. They picked him up at night.
Gonna be the one I'm gonna go against the grain.
They knew that they could have called him, and he would have just surrendered in the morning. I think that it goes to show a lot of bias, obviously, on behalf of the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I think a judge like this judge, who used to be a clerk for really, really good judges,
definitely in there, they're duking it out. The
commercial business
defense,
world,
the prosecution,
and kind of looks at things that way and looks at objectivity that way. I think
You don't
it was
think
a
so?
real good thing for Sean Combs here, because a lot of other judges that have been kind
About
of
to
jaded
find out here in a
by the
minute.
system
It's gonna
might
be a
not
minute
give
though.
him as fair of a shake as this judge is, and this judge is fairly new to the bench, so I think
Just now come in. I think they're gonna give it 20 minutes. Go ahead and hang yourself. One of the things the prosecution was saying is they don't think he gonna follow the conditions of it.
So again, if you're talking about home confinement, Agnifilo says, I don't want to give the address, but it's on Star Island. There's a causeway. This is in Florida. This is Miami. There's a dock, but there would be no boat. The judge responds, that's not going to work. We're in New York. Agnifilo says, give me a moment. He comes back and he says, there is an apartment on the Upper East Side. We have one available, 3 bedrooms. The judge says, where are the 24/7 security going to be? That Agnifilo says, would you like to speak to him or me? It's Patriot Security. They merged with Crisis 24. So, Brian, now, is this just the judge doing his full due diligence about understanding what
Every time they come with something, they got an answer for him, though.
Potentially a sign of where he might be going. And by the way, we have another update. He says, Agnifilo says there'd be 2 security guards in the apartment and 1 downstairs, so a total of 3. No access to phones or the internet except for calls with counsel arranged by the security personnel. This is more restrictive than in the MDC. Brian.
I think he's leaning toward letting them out. The response to the judge, by the way, about jurisdiction.
Y'all hitting that like button, please.
Most
Thank y'all.
no matter where you are, if they're going
It looked like the judge thinking about letting him out
to that district. And so I was kind of surprised that the bail package didn't really
Get out, boy.
provide for that, because no one
Turn it up over here. We're gonna have content.
But I think this judge is giving real serious consideration to letting him out. Think about it. All the headaches go away. We don't got to worry about the FTC. We don't got to worry about what's happening at the FTC. We don't have to worry about
y'all know.
complaining
Well, they got him accused of some
months that they don't have true access
Diddy now
to discovery. That the defendant
it ain't about what you know, it's who you know. This is Diddy.
Have the opportunity to defend himself with counsel. All those issues go away.
He done rubbed elbows with a lot of the elites in New York.
And if they're right, and he's foolish enough to engage in threatening behavior while he's out on bail, that will be the first piece of evidence they introduce at his trial. So I think the judge is a pretty smart
And it's going to be
guy.
very, very crucial that if he do get out, that he abide by them guidelines like they said they're gonna use it in the trial.
He's presumed innocent. You know, the presumption of innocence all of a sudden fades away when we talk about celebrities.
Well, I think he'll do. He get out, although he ain't gonna have no access to the internet and stuff, the phone.
And from the prosecution's point of view, you know,
he's gonna find a way to pull on the heartstrings of the people.
Engages in obstruction, they can not only have the bond revoked, but give them more evidence.
I think the longer he on it, the better they do, the better he do by following the rules. He'll get a little bit more lenient on him.
Where witnesses are threatened or intimidated and don't cooperate with the government. So it's kind of a tricky situation here. We have an update here. Bradford, I'll go to you. Ignifilo says Mr. Combs would avoid all contact with anyone who may be a witness. I think he has a right to do that, but I want to make it as easy for the court as possible. We are going to investigate thoroughly before the May 5th trial. He has a right to assist. Your thoughts?
Like button. Let me know if y'all think he's gonna get. If you drop in the chat, y'all think he's gonna get bond.
Every argument that they're making is falling on ears that are open instead of deaf ears. Whenever you're a defense attorney, Brian knows this as well as I do, and you're representing a high-profile, sometimes there are preconceived notions, and the judge has kind of already made up their mind while you're arguing, and you can see it in their face. They might give you what seems to be a fair shake, but ultimately they have made up their mind. In this case, are adding on to the bail package that he's not going to have any contact with anybody. He's not going to have any phones. And a lot of times when I have clients, high-profile clients in federal or state court, and I offer 24-hour security, I usually hire FBI,
Everybody said they think he ain't.
You know, and I'm sure the company that he has is probably along those same lines that give credibility to the security that's going to be watching him and you know, making sure who's checking in and who's signing out and things of that nature.
Yeah.
All those things add up in a judge's
Hey,
mind.
did he gonna get bond?
For them that they're doing everything possible to kind of stay out of the way and not get in trouble. I honestly do think, listening to what's going on, the judge is giving serious consideration to allowing him out on bond, which
he gonna get it.
Is a surprise because a lot of times in federal court you don't get
think
that
so.
fair shake.
I think they're gonna get it. Let him go ahead and
And you're representing someone.
let him
who's
go ahead
not
and hang
qualified.
himself.
A lot of times these judges have made up their
If
mind.
he messed that up, definitely ain't gonna get now. They started dealing with it.
The judicial system is fair, but a lot of times that the judges have already made up their minds, and it's very difficult to get a bond on this case. And I think that his defense attorney is doing an excellent job in putting together this bail package and explaining it to the judge.
Don't
And
forget, y'all,
coming
this
up
is
on-
the
and
fourth
often
bond
find
here.
yourself doing this, coming up on the fly.
Don't
where
really
the
too
judge
much
is
hear
saying,
about
"That's
people
not
having
gonna
4
work.
bond
It's
here.
not gonna work. I need something else," and it's like, "Yeah, I got an apartment on."
Guy, how many thugs
Upper
had?
East Side. It's a
Thug had? He had about what, 2 or 3?
That's not easy to do.
He didn't have no 4.
And it is a hats off to the defense for coming up with those things on the fly and being able to modify their argument that way. And I honestly think when a judge starts asking questions like that, he's very strongly leaning towards granting a bond.
Well, it's good when you're a multi-millionaire. You can just, where am I? Where's this case happening? Yeah, I got a property around the corner. Let me ask you this. So this was brought out by the prosecutors earlier on, where they said, okay, want to talk about the security team? So they say, because the judge asked, what are we talking about? They said, what type of security team? He's suggesting a co-conspirator, one whose phone was taken only the day before. The second suggestion, was a defense investigator in this case. That investigator has been out contacting witnesses. Essentially, they work for him. So the reason I bring that up is because the judge just said the government is saying Mr. Combs would be paying these people. It comes down to trust. Mark Agnifilo, again, Sean Combs' defense counsel, says it's a different relationship. There are professionals that are only going to be in his life for 8 months. It's a high-profile case. He goes on to say he's been in jail 66 days without a laptop. He only got one a few hours
Young
ago.
Thug had 3
What he
bond
says
hearings.
to have waited 9 weeks to get a laptop into the MDC. The judge says the solution is for you to come to me. We can call these hearings, which get things done. Okay, so that's a separate issue about what the resources he has. The question, of course, Brian, is can you trust the security team?
They're going to practice the days here. Yeah, because if you don't, it's a wrap.
He has a way to compromise people. If he's in prison, if he's in jail right now,
don't get bonded
the
there,
MDC is
yes,
using
a wrap.
inmates' PAC numbers to make phone calls. That's the question. Can we trust the security team? What do you make of that?
As my brilliant colleague just pointed out, the way to go would be to make sure that you've explained to the court that you've got a team that is beyond
Definitely
reproach.
weighing all the pros and
And
cons
be a little
of
firm
it.
If that's not the case, they should have former FBI, former New York police, somebody that when the judge hears their bona fides, he's going to say, you know what, this is somebody who's got some intellectual honesty. This is somebody who's not going to risk their reputation for a payday. And so I would expect that if the judge does release him, he's going to want to see that. He's not going to want just somebody on this guy's payroll to be overseeing him, during these 9 months, I can assure you. So I'm surprised if that's not the case.
Right.
And knowing Mark, as I do, who's a preeminent lawyer, they'll make sure it is the case. If they've already provided a team, they'll get a better team. But if that's an issue with the judge.
Let me ask you this, Brian.
And Jesse.
I'll ask you both this because this is a question that we got from one of our YouTubers, Floss Daily. Who pays the security company? If Diddy's paying it, is that a conflict? I'll allow either one of you to address that. If Bradford, you want to address that?
Sure, yeah, because I was going to add in, it's an absolutely great question.
Well,
And what
it is
I
a
do
conflict.
is to kind of take out the stench of any kind of impropriety that you think could go on. I figure out, okay, if it's 24-hour security
so many
for 8
stipulations
months,
on
it's
it.
gonna be $250,000, $350,000, whatever it's going to be. And I instruct my client that we put that money in my trust account, and that or a company is hired to pay them separately from just the defendant. So they're not relying on the defendant to get a paycheck. It kind of takes that sting out. I mean, there's always going to be a sting of, hey, I'll give you an extra $1,000 if you do X, Y, Z. You can never kind of get rid of that that kind of thing. But
The same thing can happen in jail, though.
The links in the chain and say they're going to be getting their paycheck from either ADP or they're going to get the paycheck from my law
So he
firm,
been getting
but
type,
they're
he
not
been
gonna
getting
be
all
relying
type
on the
of
defendant to get paid, and
secret things he ain't supposed to get in
hey, you're not
there
getting
because it's
paycheck
him.
unless you let me use your phone.
That really don't. You know,
A
it
lot
can
of
happen in there
times
too.
That
So
also helps in these situations where a judge is asking about, how is this going to work with this?
they already
24-hour
accuse him of
security,
finagling the
and
phone.
they're
So
going to be behooving to him because he's the one who's paying it. I think it takes out one of those links, and it also benefits the court's decision. It eases their mind on that issue.
Brian, I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that, but we
you
also
don't
have
get out.
an
It's
update
definitely gonna be a long
Mark
ride.
Agnifilo says, I have a whole presentation ready about the tape, but if you've got enough, I can save everyone 15 minutes. The judge says, I have reviewed it. Who is here from pretrial services? Pretrial services comes forward and says, we maintain conditions are insufficient. The judge says, have there been other cases with private guards? Pretrial services says, not that I'm aware. What do you think, Brian?
Happens all the time. Pretrial services, they do a great job, but, they're a government entity. And in a case like this, the default position always for pretrial is going to be detained. It's easier for them to do that. This judge knows that. One of the other things that came to mind.
Well, he got his toes crossed, boy.
I wonder if the government didn't do themselves a disservice by this untimely search of the cell.
Yeah.
Where they shook his cell down, they allegedly looked at privileged materials. That's a no-no. And I don't think this judge was all too pleased with it. And I think he started doing the math in this case and started thinking to himself, you know, it may be easier for everybody, including the government and the prison officials, if we let this guy pay a lot of money for a private security firm to you know, keep him from fleeing, and we'll get this case tried.
I remember all the fans here they had, and kind of like
every week or two with a complaint about
talking in his favor like they is now.
Get his computer. We've got so many terabytes to go over. We don't have the ability to defend. It puts so many issues into a case that can be easily resolved with agreeing to the bail package. So it was just another thing.
And
yeah, Brian's 100%.
Yeah, Bradford, jump in on that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 100% correct. So, first of all, there's been cases in New York.
Don't forget, I think I'm about probably one of the only persons that I think he's gonna get it now.
Got granted private security, and around the country, when you look at these high-profile cases, there's been many cases where private security. One of them is an NBA young boy who had a case in Louisiana. He had private security as part of his bail package.
There it goes.
Kodak, who I represented, he had private security as part of his bail package. It's happened many times, and I think the number one takeaway that Brian is so right on is that this searching of his jail cell was so very stupid by the government, and they just can't help themselves. Like it's really sometimes, you know, they can't help themselves. Even when they have cases that they feel are good, they want more.
Well, just to be fair, they said this sweep of the MDC was comprehensive. It wasn't just aimed at Sean Combs. His defense team says it was a pretext, but just to give you the other argument.
I have a very cheap bridge for sale for you. Listen, I think that this was, I think it was a target. I find it very hard to believe that it wasn't. You had a specialist that was there that normally is not there. He's taking pictures of items that have nothing to do with what they're searching for, phones and
they fumbled the ball on that.
I find that very hard to believe, and it just is shocking sometimes when you look at the government when they have so much power. They have so many assets that they can use to obtain guilty verdicts, and they want more. They always want more. And in this case, I think
I ain't watching Hankin TV than what you watch.
I think that the only reason this judge is being so I don't want to say
following the Diddy bond here.
The only reason that this judge has considered some of these arguments, I think, and they're not falling on deaf ears, is partly because of the prosecution's dream that this was just, this was something that was going to happen, and we didn't mean to get his notes, and even though we had his notes, we had a team, we put up a Chinese wall. They have every excuse in the book, but once you taint a case with something like that, it's very hard to regain a judge's trust, and I think that's why a lot of these questions are being asked of the prosecution. And in addition to this guy who got out, the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, I just think a lot of things came together for Sean Combs to give him this opportunity, and this is his best shot.
So we have another update from court where the prosecutor has now jumped in and
said,
consider witness one a participant in multiple freak-offs. Defendant continued to contact witness one after counsel was retained. The Instagram post was planned for a week using Contact Me ASAP and other inmates' codes. Really interesting there about that.
That might be
suggesting that Sean Combs is engaged
girl
in
from Danny Kane.
I wanted to ask you, we have a question from one of our viewers that I think is fascinating. And Brian, I'll throw it to you. Are there any additional bail conditions the judge could impose on Sean Combs? Could the judge
he said he had called her before he got locked up, and he had called her like over 100 times.
You know, I have never seen that being done. I mean, you know, anything that the probation office could do would pale in comparison to what the defense has already submitted.
I know I don't like my labs to be
you put somebody on a bracelet. I mean, they don't have the resources to have 24/7 guards in the U.S. probation department. More importantly, that's not their role. So, fair question. Why not have the feds protect him and police him while he's out? It's not the way the system works. And more importantly, I think to all of this is you know, there has to be an ability for somebody to defend themselves. And what the prosecuting team seems to be relying on here is his efforts to really defend himself. He is looking for help. He is looking to try to line up witnesses, to marshal a defense, to reach out to allies, to get friends and family to get on social media so he can start not winning the battle, but just try and making the, you know, the landscape a little bit easier and more even. And so I don't know what this judge is going to do, but I would tell you constitutionally and legally, the easy thing to do would be to allow this bail package to be put in place. And the worst thing that could happen
question is Diddy gonna get bombed?
If he spit in the face of the court once the court gave this to him.
Yeah. And by the way, that brings me to another point. So Bradford, we have an update from court. The question becomes what he was allegedly doing while at the MDC. We can have a back and forth about whether or not he was actually engaging in obstruction and what the contents of his messages were, versus was he just violating the Bureau of Prison rules. If they tell him not to make a phone call, or they tell him not to do this, whatever the contents of it were, if he violates the rules, the idea is he violates the rules of the Bureau of Prison. What makes you think he won't violate the rules of his bail? The reason I say that is because the prosecutor said his family member said the lawyers say not to do it, and the defendant responds, "I don't care, it's my birthday." This is in regards, presumably, to that whole social media campaign about surrounding his birthday and the birthday video. So the idea would be he just didn't care, he violated the BOP rules. The judge said, Ms. Shapiro said sharing codes is common with other inmates, and the conduct was covered by the First Amendment. The prosecutor says, the Bureau of Prisons handbook prohibits this. So it becomes a question, the content of what he was doing, Brad, versus did he just straight up break the rules? And if he just straight up broke the rules, is that a concern for why he shouldn't be granted bail?
So the rules that he broke are broken on a daily basis. Like it's so idiotic when they just overshoot every time and say like, oh, you know, it's three-way calling. He broke the rules.
It's you to record so you don't make three-way calls. People still make them.
Same thing. I don't know how many times our clients call us with three-way calls and using someone else's PIN, and it's not that they want to discuss anything. It's all attorney-client privilege when they call us, unless it's a three-way call and there's someone else on the line, then it's not. And I always let my clients know that. But a lot of times they'll use other people's PINs for different reasons. Like even when they call me from a different PIN, it's because they feel like the government's still spying on a discussion between them and their lawyer. And they could be right. You know,
he definitely got the right to feel that way.
A lot of times, or they want to call, you know,
they monitor all his calls.
Call their girlfriend. So instead they use, you know, one of the other guy's PIN numbers. It's so commonly done that I don't even consider it a flagrant violation of the rules. I don't even know if they give shots. And what a shot is you know, they give them some sort of a warning or some sort of pink slip for, you know, using someone else's. I don't even know if they do that anymore because they're more concerned with the drugs and the cell phones and things that are snuck into the jail. This is such a minor violation that the government here is saying is such a massive violation that unless they can really tie it up with that he's doing it to contact these witnesses and threatening witnesses, if the judge has real life experience, which I'm sure this judge does,
evidently they must not have no evidence that he actually contacted the witness. If they did,
and I don't
would be a rat. Wouldn't be nothing to talk about.
Do things if he's let out. I just don't think that's a good argument.
Well, here's the question. This is a question from Jasmine Milan on YouTube. I'll throw it to you, Brian. Couldn't he just have his family members do all the things that he isn't allowed to do? That would be the question in terms of if he's out.
I mean, that's in or out.
If he's out. Yeah, I mean, I think you know, we end up chasing our tails with some of the issues here. I mean, if he's out there, he's going to do everything he can to defend himself. If he's in, he's going to do everything he can to defend himself. If he's in, he's got to jump through all these hoops to have contact with the people that are going to do everything they can for him to defend himself. Remove the hoops. you know, Bradford's got it right. I think I got 4 3-way calls during this session, for God's sake.
4 3-way calls during that.
Probably 20 of them from this detention center.
That ain't even nothing, man.
Happening. It happens every day, and it goes back to that central thing that I keep thinking. You know, this judge seems like a really brilliant guy. The headaches here are all driven by the fact that they've taken away his liberty before his trial.
He gonna get it.
All those headaches, every single
one of the
one
very
of them,
few people think
put
Diddy gonna
aside
get bond.
for the sake of argument, the government's concern about threat. Every one of those headaches that inure to the defendant in terms of constitutional protections go away. All of the headaches for the court in policing this go away. They become somebody else's problem, and know well that if there's one issue, somebody goes sideways a little bit, somebody makes a phone call somewhere,
right,
he's detained within 5 minutes of that incident. So the easy thing to do here, and I've been kind of, saying this,
I think they're gonna let him out.
Is to
let
him
him hang
have a
himself.
$50 million bail package.
I'm going to give you another question.
Still get to keep the money.
Because you know what? You're right. We've been beating the same kind of drum a little bit. I have another question for you from one of our viewers. Before I get to that, let me just give everybody an update about what's happening in court. Prosecutor says defendant has used at least 8 inmates' codes. He's bought them. The judge says they say contact me ASAP operates through TrueLinks, the trust fund limited inmate computer system. The prosecutor says it's not permitted. In the Jeffries case, one is detained, and the judge said that's a foreign national. Okay, so making a little distinctions here. But I do have a different question for you, Brian, if I can find it, if I didn't lose it. This is from Latoya on YouTube. If he is convicted, Brian, and sentenced to prison, what happens with the civil lawsuits?
Well, I mean, the civil lawsuits may all at some point be indefensible. Once he's convicted, I again, making sure all those civil lawsuits have some relationship.
You think that YSL trial was something? Once we get to this Diddy trial,
there'll be a conviction. That conviction will be part and parcel of the evidence in the civil case.
The government on this case, they already
if he was deposed while his case was appealed, he'd have to insert the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment is an admission in a civil case. Those cases, if they are related to this event and he is convicted, become indefensible.
All right, we have another other update. Prosecutor says this is more similar to the cases where detention was ordered, talking about R. Kelly, Keith Raniere, Larry Ray. Bradford, if you're sitting in that courtroom and you're representing Sean Combs and the prosecution mentions these other people, R. Kelly was charged with sex trafficking and racketeering. How do you distinguish Sean
R. Kelly
Combs
wasn't offering when he offering though.
Well, the funny thing is,
R. Kelly wasn't offering no $50 million.
Is that the different areas have different issues with bond and how bond packages are done. In the R. Kelly case, I don't think, number one is they came up with $50 million. They didn't have 24-hour security. They didn't have electronic monitor, taking away his cell phones, his computers, etc. They didn't have any of that. So if you want to compare apples to apples, I think, and my opinion, is that the best case scenario is that Abercrombie & Fitch CEO. I keep going back to it. It happened very soon in time. It was in an area that is right next to New York City, which is the Eastern District. He was allowed to surrender. He was given a $10 million bond. The guy still, nobody even knows. If I was in a room with the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, I wouldn't know him from anyone, right? If I'm in a room with Sean Combs, I'm going to recognize him right away. So it's a little bit of a different situation. The CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch
Diddy bond here.
Morocco, no one's going to recognize the guy.
He's got a quite a distinguishable face, but that's a separate kind of issue. But anyway,
I have. But the common man does not know who the
CEO
of
going back and forth.
I would argue that Sean Combs is known pretty much worldwide, especially even at this point, and that I think lends itself to really distinguishing him from the rest of these individuals. And we always say, like, hey, money.
That's why I said earlier he ain't even gonna be able to have a fair trial. Because I don't care what rock you had, there ain't nobody out there that don't know who Diddy is.
On this case, But that's the whole point of bond, is that it shows your commitment to appear in court, to not violate the rules, to do these certain things. So as you have more money,
hitting that like
obviously
button.
the bond is higher in amount to make that more of a damaging thing. Like, you know, someone worth 100 million, if I put up 50, that really hurts me, right? It's just like if someone was $100 and they put up 50. So the thing is that that's the difference between Sean Combs and these other cases, is that his bond package is completely different than what was being offered in those other cases. And the fact, I can't get beyond the fact that he just stuck around. He didn't go anywhere. Not that he could have. I'm sure the feds had their eyes on him 24/7 before they filed charges. But he stuck around, he didn't go anywhere. He informed them of where he was flying, when he was flying, where he was going, when he was going, during that whole period of time. And then when he knows that he's going to be arrested, he flies to New York in preparation. And instead of allowing him to surrender, like they would allow anyone, I mean, he's there to surrender. Instead of allowing him to surrender, which a judge would have looked upon that favorably and said, oh, he surrendered himself.
When they arrested him, they had it arranged for him to
9 o'clock at night.
turn himself in. He went by the guidelines up.
I think the reason they did that is because they knew that Sean Combs was trying to organize this PR thing and was trying to put on a good show in terms of, hey, listen, mea culpa, I didn't mean anything on this video, and I'm going to rehab, and all these things that are good for his case. They got, I think, frustrated that the perception was starting to sway a little bit. And then that Cassie tape came out, and perception kind of
supposed to be in May of 2025, but
video, it's very
it ain't gonna happen, man. They got too much
you see
stuff
all
to
your
go
friends
through.
kind of abandon you.
You got years and years of evidence
it
to go over.
just frustrates me when you got a guy that is willing to do all
And
these
not
things,
forgetting all the
and you still
false,
don't want to agree to a bond.
So I know we've been keeping you guys for a while. We're going to take a break. Before we do, I want to get some final thoughts, but I want to give you some updates from court. And Brian, I'll start with you on this. The judge just said, I suggest both parties put in letters by Monday at noon about what type of communications Mr. Combs may engage in. Monday at noon. So that's interesting to think about. What does he mean? He's going to be out or he's not going to be out? But his lawyer, Combs' lawyer, Tony Rico, said, we have to email for a week to get him a file folder. Then he said his adult children are willing to obey. He's not a lawless person. We spent hours at the NBC. Mr. Combs was writing down what I said. He's not out of control. DOJ is responsible for the MDC. Those phone calls from me all the time, and I hang up. Just your thoughts on what we're hearing here.
I go back to it. I think this judge is really giving serious consideration.
Ain't making all the past bond hearings, ain't made it this far.
Trying to figure out a way to do so where the government's concerns are alleviated.
Like they trying to put a plan together for it.
To prevent the wrong kind of communications. You know, a lot of the listeners that have asked questions are seeing, you know, justice play out here, and what a difference a judge makes. You know, there are a lot of judges I just listened to Bradford's arguments, all brilliant, that would listen to it and say, thank you very much, have a seat, denied. This is one of those judges that listens. This is one of those judges that balances. And what a difference a judge makes. And he could very well, if not today, Monday, make a decision that's favorable to Mr. Combs.
So,
yeah, I didn't think they were going to rule on it today.
Mr. Rico, again, his attorney says he has access to cell phones in the MDC, but not under our conditions. He fights, he kicks, he makes phone calls. This can be addressed. Thank you. Judge says we're going to get a decision out prompt next week. Brad.
Yeah, I think that's the smart thing to do. Listen, smart judges don't just make decisions off cuff, right? They go back to their chambers. They think about it. They have very, very smart clerks that know the law, that give them case law to back up their reasoning. And, you know, judges sometimes have gut feelings when they've been on the bench for a long time.
In order to give them a fair chance, a fair shot at it, you definitely had to go over it. You just couldn't make the decision right there off the bat.
So I think that it's smart. I think that smart judges put out smart orders because they know they may be appealed or they know that it's going to be publicly read. and that's just what they do. So I'm not shocked that he didn't make a
I'm one of the few people who said he
from
gonna
the
get it.
bench, just as
I
Brian
hit that
said,
like button, man. Make sure I hit that
very
like
early
button.
on. You wouldn't be
Subscribe to the
surprised
channel.
either,
You ain't
that,
watching
you know,
Hankin
the judge
TV,
is
then
gonna
what
take
you
some
watch?
time and do a written order, because that's what good judges do. Good judges do written orders. They don't shoot from the hip, and they don't automatically say one thing or the other. They think about it, they sleep on it. And I don't know how many times I've been in a case where I'm feeling like, oh man, this judge I feel like they're ruling against me. And they say, hey, listen, I'm gonna get a written order out, you know, by the end of the week. And then they go back, they read the case law again, they find new case law, they find, you know, all kinds of different things, and then they rule in my favor maybe for a completely different reason than was even discussed at that hearing.
Pop a one in the
But that's
chat if
what
y'all think he ain't getting out.
differentiates great judges from just guys that are, you know, that have been on the bench for maybe 30 or 40 years, and they're kind of going through the motions, and they know what to deny and what to grant and why to deny it, and they just kind of, you know, they're on autopilot. Like I said, when you get a judge that is fairly new, it's
Some of y'all are even there, so
their take on certain.
I think he gonna get it.
I agree. This is a judge that's very refreshing. I think he's really carefully considering both arguments. As he said, right now the latest update is that he wants those letters Monday. We'll make a decision next week. This could possibly be Sean Combs' last weekend behind bars. We will see. But
this is gonna be the longest weekend in his life.
Gentlemen, let me tell you, Brian McMonagle, Bradford Cohen, thank you so much for your brilliant insight, your analysis, your generosity with your time. And let me just give you one last suggestion. Imagine you two teaming up. My gosh, what a power team you two would be together. So
ain't gonna be able to sleep the whole weekend.
Yeah, you guys really should. My gosh, it's two brilliant minds.
I have long admired Brian's work, and you know, it's all.
Just believe they made it that far. Lawyers are definitely about to put it down.
Actually tried cases that have been doing this for a long time, because warriors generally think alike, and it's always good to be on with someone like Brian.
High compliment coming from you, my friend.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. We're going to take a quick break. Elizabeth Milner is coming out of that courtroom. She's going to give us a live update about what she observed of Sean Combs, his family, his attorneys, give us insight into that courtroom. Stay with us here on Long Crime. We'll be right back right after this.
Next week, another waiting game. I guess we got the weekend and go over and recap both sides, the defense and the government. They were saying that the government really made a huge mistake by raiding his cell. The judge Wade taking too lightly to that, but at the same time, him getting out on bond, conditions got to make sense. Like I said, I think I'm one of the only people thinking he's gonna get it. I think he's gonna get it. I think he's gonna get it, man. Well, it's basically over. The hearing over with. So I just wanted to cover that. See if Diddy got bonds. See if anything different changed. I think it did. Like I said, in all the past three, they didn't get as deep into it as they did this time, so they definitely going through it thoroughly. Like I said, I think he gonna get it. I definitely think he gonna get it, man. We supposed to had chopped it up about the YSL trial too. That one right there definitely coming to an end. Shannon's lawyer, he definitely had a witness on the stand today, shook, stuttering. They still talking about where this watch at. They didn't been caught up a few times about where this watch at. One person saying that they didn't take it. The paperwork saying that it was taken. So you got to realize I'm thinking of it like this. Okay, y'all let Thug out, and y'all gonna mess around and have to pay what, $1 million for a watch? I don't think they're going to go out like that. That watch is going to come up. It's definitely going to come up. I have been asking and asking and asking, like, how can they be using the them guns they found in his house against Yak and Shannon today? Both of the lawyers fried the officer on the stand about them guns. They was asking him, did he see them in their possessions? Did he have any proof they was in their possession? He said no. So I don't even understand how they could even charge them with that. The lawyers, they definitely did their thing today. So that one right there, that's coming down to the wire. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna see what's up with that. We'll be back on that Monday. I'm gonna go back and research a few clips of what happened today. Go back and rewatch a few of these other channels on this Diddy hearing. Like I said, I think I'm one of the very few people saying he gonna get it. I think he gonna get it. So I think they just gonna go ahead and let him hang himself. And that way they ain't got to go through it no more. Cause like they was even saying on there, it kind of be better for him to be out. It'd be better for everybody. And I think it's really probably 50-50. 50% of the people want him out. 50% of the people who don't want him out. So listen to this one right here, Bond hearing number 4. This one was the most thoroughest when it went the furthest. We had covered earlier, man, I've been coming across a lot of stories of women becoming impregnated while incarcerated. I came across one story where a female, she became impregnated by a guy, and they was passing semen through the vent. Just another guy down in North Carolina. I think he's facing like 2 or 3 body charges. He had relations with 3 staff, but 2 of them became pregnant. They charged the staff with it. We definitely got some content and some things to cover, man. I just want to just go over the Young Thug trial. Over the Diddy bond hearing. Don't forget Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going harder with Hankin.
How you getting facts from some niggas who ain't?
That's my bag. Sunday at 1 p.m. Central.
Like, you can ride the wave, but you're not going to be the wave. I am the wave.
But yeah, like I was saying, it's about to be the longest weekend of Diddy's life right here. I'll probably be back later on tonight. I might come back later on tonight, chop it up. Me and Mr. says something. Chop it up about them cases, them other couple of cases I was telling y'all about. Chop it up, maybe go through the gram or something. I had somebody hit me up for an interview. I'm waiting for them to hit me back. If y'all didn't catch the part 2 of last night, married to an FBI informant with a Chhyld Bush, man, make sure y'all check it out. Go follow her on TikTok at Chhyld Bush 1. If you ain't caught part 1, make sure y'all go and catch part 1. It went up last night. It was a nice one. We picked up where we had left off at on part 1. She came through. She talked about how it was being in there during the pandemic. She said she about to go into about how it was in there when the George Floyd situation had happened. I think she like on part 60. 65, like 67. Yeah, we did a dope interview last night, man. So if y'all didn't catch it, man, go through there and check it out. And then the day before that, we had Free Game Zane, dope artist out of Dallas. We chopped it up, man. Make sure y'all check that out. Go through the descriptions. Hit the link. Make sure y'all check out their YouTube pet channel and their Instagrams. But I might be back later on tonight. Chop it up about a few things. Also tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Don't forget. Over there at Hankin TV, he got the Purple Panties. He got the Purple Panties podcast going. They're going to be over there chopping it up. I might pull up over there. But until the next time, just make sure y'all got y'all post notifications on. go ahead and give everybody like a definition of hanking. In Dayton, you know, people selling drugs, they called it hanking. You know, if a nigga was selling a lot of dope, they like, you know what I'm saying, I'm hanking.
Yeah.
So what I did it took and put a positive spin to it, you know. So I took the word hanking and I made it stand for when you can supply the demand and consistently turn a profit.
This is a certified hood classic.
We've been had money. Money ain't nothing without us being together. It don't do no it don't make no difference if you the maid or if you the motherfucking bodyguard. Everybody get extras around here, friends benefits. Everybody travel from place to place and kick it with each other, and every place is like home.
Love Child got that sauce.
Let's get it.
Welcome to my city, Westwood, they know Ohio. Midwest players and hustlers, check the bio. They call me Hankin for a reason. If I said it, then I done it. I supply what they demand and make a profit from it. I'm in love with the game. Run, Hopper, Norris, Cole. Ohio player self-made. Gym City, we on gold. M-double-G, yeah, money go getters. Real niggas bout that life. Niggas can't up with us.
They call me Hankin for a reason. If I said it, then I done it. I supply what they demand and make a profit from it. They call me Hankin for a reason. If I said it, then I done it. I supply what they demand and make a profit from it.
I salute to all the hustle, Jay, Charlie, Bugs, and Round, Keith, Denny, Bert, Earl, the D-boys in the alleys, Chino and Lil J, J, Mac and Carleon, Skane, Key and Diamond Cut, DBM, you know we own. I used to cook the D, I did corn, shoot the 3, when he played for the Heats, then I flooded the streets. Hustle gang, that's my squad, that's my motherfucking team, just might be your worst nightmare or sell you a dream. We all about the money, up the system, they corrupt, ain't no credit, straight cash, so I got my hustle up.
They call me Hankin for a reason. If I said it, then I done it. I supply what they demand and make a profit from it. They call me Hankin for a reason. If I said it, then I done it. I supply what they demand and make a profit from it.
Matter of fact, after you leave here, you end up getting your teeth on something and coming up with something better. You know what I'm saying? Like a new car, new house.